morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to Robert Lucero. Robert Lucero was first to say first in one of my recent videos, and thus wins this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review of a neat new airplane. This is the JJRC W01-J3. What is the J3? It's, as you can see here, it is another flying Cub model, okay, of the J3. And this one actually looks pretty nice. One thing let's talk about, it's made of EPP foam, so it should be somewhat impact resistant. It's 505 millimeter wingspan from tip to tip. Weighs only 65 grams with its included battery. It's just a little 3.7 volt LiPo battery. So since it's under 250 grams, this does not require registration in most countries, folks. So that's, you know, this is intended as a beginner's learn-to-fly aircraft. Learn-to-fly three-channel aircraft. Nice looking little three-channel aircraft, to tell you the truth. In terms of building it, all the decals are already installed. You do need to install the wing. It just clips in place and then you screw it in there to hold it in place. You also need to attach these struts, these, I forgot what they're called, to the landing gear, along with the landing gear, and you screw them in place there. There are also these H-braces. They're structural H-braces. They are not really structural. They're just for decorative looks here. They get screwed in place too, and I'm sorry folks, my old eyes are just too old to properly install these, okay? I tried to do it, but it's very difficult for me. Okay, for older people with poor eyesight are going to have a hard time installing those H-braces. But again, they're not really needed, folks, nor are these. Okay, this wing is easily supported just by the wing alone. It's more for decorative purposes, in other words, to install these portions here. But again, there are people, you know, that do like to see a complete flying model. And again, you can install, if you wish, these H-braces to improve the looks of the aircraft in flight. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. We're going to fly it without those braces. Okay, I mentioned this three-channel control. We have throttle of the motor control. We have rudder control. It's a movable rudder. Let's show you the controls. And movable elevator, up-down elevator, controlled through these control rods. Additionally, I mentioned it is 6-axis stabilized for beginners. Okay, what that means is the aircraft will automatically level itself if you get into problems. You just let go of the controls and it will automatically correct itself and level itself. Additionally, it will prevent you from rolling over the aircraft. You know, you exceed a certain bank angle and the aircraft won't go any further in that bank angle. It just won't do it. Along with certain pitch angles, it will prevent you from flipping over. However, there is a button that you can press on the controller, and what it will do is turn off the angle restrictions in pitch so that you can actually do loops with this aircraft. So yes, you can do stunts, and you can turn off the pitch angle restriction to enable you to do loops. However, it will still be stabilized, so if you do get into problems, let go of the sticks and it should automatically right itself. Okay? It is powered by 3 0720 coreless motors in here. There's 3 of them in there to provide power to the aircraft. That should be more than sufficient to get this aircraft in the air and also to do those loops. So that would be cool too. I can't wait to try that out. The receiver in this is supposedly Spectrum DSM-2 DSMX Spectrum receiver. Supposedly you can bind this with other controllers such as the jumpers, you know, the multi-protocol, or a transmitter with DSM or Spectrum protocol. I haven't done it yet. I haven't tried it out. I will try it out after the flight. Right now I don't want to mess anything up before I actually take this out for its flight. But afterwards I'll try it and see if I can bind this with a multi-protocol transmitter, and I'll let you folks know later whether it is possible or I had any problems doing such. And again, I mentioned the battery. It's a little 3.7 volt, 500 milliamp per hour LiPo battery, 500. These are very common. However, you're going to need a battery about no longer than, what is the length of this thing? 75 millimeters. Nothing longer than 75 millimeters, as it won't fit in the belly of the aircraft. Okay, they get, there's not a lot of room in there to stick a large battery in. So the maximum length is 75 millimeters to get it in there, and it just fits right up to the belly of the aircraft. So as you can see there, folks, so keep that in mind. If you're buying replacement batteries, keep them below 75 millimeters length. The controller, let's talk about the controller. And this is the controller from JJRC. Actually looks like an old Hubsan controller, similar. But it has a lot of what appears to be telemetry information, but really there's not much to this controller, folks. It's really basic. Let me turn it off. But again, here's the on-off switch here, and this is your throttle trim. This is your rudder trim. Well, there is no rudder, so this one's inoperative. This one is your pitch trim, and this is your yaw trim. So they're just trim buttons on this on-off switch here. This button is inoperative, does nothing. But this button here switches between low and high rate. Okay, beginner or an expert. You press it and go in high, and that turns, again, as I mentioned, that turns off the stabilization system of the aircraft, so you can do loops with the aircraft. And low rate, you can't do loops. It won't let you exceed that certain pitch angle. So again, very basic aircraft, beginner's aircraft, 3-channel aircraft with gyro stabilization. It should be an actual great flyer for beginner pilots. Oh, I forgot to mention what you get. You get the instruction manual. The instruction manual did not, it shows how to fly the aircraft, but it went, in terms of constructing the aircraft, it was non-existent. Here, you got to figure that out for yourself. Again, as I mentioned, you screw on, you clip on, and then screw on the wing to the aircraft first, right there with the largest screw that you get, and then you have to attach these to these, I'll call them struts, to the base of the aircraft, along with the landing gear. You screw them in there. So that's how you construct the aircraft. But you get the instruction manual, you get the battery charger for that little LiPo battery. You get these H braces that also comes with the aircraft, along with a screwdriver for constructing the aircraft. You get a spare propeller, and that propeller is just screwed on. There's a little screw that holds the propeller in there in case you do break the original propeller. And you get the controller. So that is the W01-J3 Cub model. Let's take this out into the field and see how it flies. So hope you enjoy this flight, folks. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and a beautiful day here at Pleasant Ridge Park. We do have a bit of a wind today, about 5 to 7 miles per hour, so keep that in mind. We'll see if this thing has any problems flying in the wind. It's good to know. All right. Okay, to get this started up, to start up the W01-J3 Cub, we need to first plug in its battery. And I will do that right now and get ready to fly. Okay, the battery is plugged in. Next thing, we turn on the transmitter and see if it's bound. It is definitely bound. Okay, let's get this ready to fly. By the way, notice the NC number on here, NC 8807. I looked that up. It's from an old Stearman biplane. Just interesting. It's not from a Cub. It's from a Stearman. Okay, the wind's coming from that direction. Pretty good wind. Let's get it in the air. Okay, it definitely needs some upward trim. Let's bring it back toward us. Trying to fight the wind. But the wind is buffeting it. Give it more upward trim. Okay, there we go. So it gets it is getting buffeted by that wind. So this would be a low wind day flyer. You can see it being buffeted right and left. The gyro system is holding it. I'm going to reduce the throttle. I'm going to max upward trim, so that means I really should adjust the elevators on this. Okay, bringing it down by reducing throttle, increasing throttle. I'm going to head over this way, get away from that fence. Now, in terms of maneuverability, I don't know. I'm kind of afraid to put it into doing a loop today because of this wind. But what the hey? Trying to do a loop. Never mind. Didn't have the power to do that loop. Now again, this is being powered by 3 720 motors. Let's see, let's turn upwind. Always remember to turn upwind, folks, on windy days. It helps when you're crabbing in the wind like this. But it's doing a job. It's just not as maneuverable as I thought it would be. But again, it's a Piper J3. So I don't know. I don't know what I would be expecting. We'll just fly it this way. I'm in expert mode here. I wanted to see if there's any differences in, is it still stabilized? It's still stabilized, folks, in expert. Trying to loop. I just don't have the oomph for a loop. Going back to beginner's rate. I really don't have the oomph for loops. Let's turn it downwind, turn it around, and coming around, back toward me. Going into the wind, just hovering there. Okay, let's turn it this way. I should be turning into the wind. Turning into the wind. I'm going to increase the throttle to keep it up. Oh, that didn't like that. Okay, let's get it back in the air again. If our propeller's still fine. Propeller still looks good. Okay, ready. Let's see here. The wheels don't look good. Let me readjust our landing gear. Put the landing gear back in place. Everything else looks fine. So, once more, wind that way. To the J3. Now, WL Toys, or it was XK actually, well, they're all WL Toys. So is JJRC, by the way. Came out with a J3 model a couple months ago, and it was a really good looking model, but it had issues with its gyro system, in that it would occasionally head to the ground for no reason at all. I'm not seeing it with this one, even though this is also, WL Toys. JJRC is one of the subsidiaries of WL Toys. Think General Motors and Chevy and Oldsmobile. That's how it works. With the main one being WL Toys. Or Wiley Toys. Okay, that wind's dying down, and now it's becoming a very nice flyer. I can reduce the throttle some. Don't need to run it as hard to keep it near me. Increasing the throttle width. And now wind's picking up again. Bouncing it. It don't like the wind. It really don't. So, I better try to keep it closer to me. Yeah, again, it really doesn't have the power, it seems, to do those maneuvers or loops. I thought it would. Maybe somebody else would be successful on a less windy day. It just might be me flying on it's only 5 miles per hour wind, folks. 5 to 7. But again, this thing is really light. I'm cutting it off to see if it glides. Try to bring it over here, see if it glides. Here's the throttle. That's it gliding. Well, we'll see how long it flies too. A little J3 here. Wind's picking up, gliding into the wind, increasing throttle. It is being buffeted, folks. See those wings rocking back and forth. Reducing the throttle, coming in closer. Trying to do a flyby. Just gliding it into the wind. It's hovering there, hovering with the wind, just practically hovering. Going that way. Let's turn it to the left. Bring it this way. Trying to keep turning into the wind. We'll do figure eights with turns into the wind. How am I going to do turn into the wind that way? Well, the wind has died down a little bit. That's why I'm able to keep it closer now. Well, with the wind died down, let's try. Almost. Almost. I'm trying to do it. Almost. Okay, I quit. I tried. I'm going to keep it in high rate, though. Seems to be more maneuverable. But let's bring it back over from way up there. Gliding it, gliding it. I seem to have had a little bit of an updraft there. And turning into the wind. Coming around the other way. Whoa, I stalled that wing. Going back to beginner's right. I gave it a little bit too much of a turn in the wind, but let me show you. I'm flying it this way, just with the right stick. It is relatively easy to fly, but again, this is more appropriate on a windless day. Or maybe indoor flying at a gym. Boy, it really is hovering like a gyrocopter or a quadcopter right now. Look at that. Trying to go into the wind. I'm reducing throttle just to where it's hovering. There we go. Turning into the wind. And coming back. You know, these beginner planes, one of my favorites. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know if it's still out there, but it's very similar to this. Is the old WL Toys F949. That didn't have any gyro stabilization, but it really didn't need it. And neither does this, I think, either, because of the way it's designed. It's stable by its design, but that one I liked a lot. It had the same similar motor setup. These 3 coreless motors hooked up to power the propeller. Actually, it might be the same motor system. This is JJRC. Just installed in a J03 or J3. Coming around. But yeah, you won't be doing any super stunts with this. You might, if lucky, get a loop out of it if you get it enough speed. Trying, no. I have not been able to get a loop. Try it again. Try it again. Oh, there, close enough. Close enough to a loop. And I'm giving up on attempting any more loops with this plane. It might be good actually to remove those wing braces on this. They're probably creating some drag on it. There, the wind's picking up again. It's hovering. It's hovering. Trying to bring it back toward me from over there. Bumpity bumpity. You're probably hearing that wind. Because the speakers on my, or the microphone on my camera really picks up wind. Oh, I stalled it. I stalled it. It is possible to stall it, so keep that in mind, folks. But again, the motor seems to be getting, the power seems to be decreasing on the motor, so that battery's probably getting tired now. But let's go over here, toss it one more time, see if we got more flight time. Yeah, the motor's tired. The battery's tired, actually. Grabbing it. Whoa, really being buffeted there. You know, it's three-channel. It doesn't have the ailerons to really counter the being buffeted like a four-channel plane. So keep that in mind, folks. That's why, you know, I might be having issues here with the wind, because it's a three-channel aircraft. No aileron control, just rudder to counter that wind. So, yeah, fourth channel would have been nice. Let's fly around me a couple times. It was coming at me that time. There we go. When the motor or the battery gets low enough, the motor just dies and then it descends. So that's the flight time we get out of the J3. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review flight of the W01. Now we're at Pleasant Ridge Park. It is a pretty day today, but we do have a bit of a wind, about 5 miles per hour, coming from that direction there. Well, 5 to 7 miles per hour now, I'm guessing. Let's see how this flies in the wind. So hopefully it'll do okay. So let's start this up. First off, I need to plug in the battery and then connect it to the controller. So hold on, folks, while I plug in this battery. Okay, battery has been plugged in. That's one thing about this airplane. It does not have an on-off switch. Okay, putting it on the ground and then turning on the controller like so, and up, down to bind it. I think it's bound now. Yes, it is. Okay, again, we have a steady breeze coming from in my face right now. Let's see how it performs with this breeze. Hopefully the stabilization system will take care of it. So here we go, giving it some power. Going right away into the wind, climbing. I got it about a third of the way throttle and it's hovering. Hovering in the wind. Going upwind. So it is a bit breezy for it today, I'll admit that. 5 miles per hour seems to be 7 miles per hour right now. Let's go downwind. And up. Okay, flying this one-handed. Coming around. It seems to like the wind. Doesn't affect it too much, except that it can't fly into it. Let's go around again. Pull back on the stick a bit. But it's doing a job. I want to go to higher rate. Going into the wind. Let's go up a bit higher because I want to try something. I ain't going to get no loops on this today. But I'm in high rate right now. Let's see what it does in high rate. Yeah, never mind. Coming back out of high rate. Bring it back toward me. Flying it overhead. One-handed flying, folks. But it's not going anywhere with this wind. Gotta give it a little more throttle. A little more throttle to fight this one. Okay, cutting back on that one. So we're just gonna fly it, crapping into the wind, back and forth. Let me bring it down a little lower too. So yeah, not a windy day flyer, obviously, but it can handle the wind, and the auto stabilization system is working okay. Yeah, I tried flying this the other day, folks, trying to do its loops with this thing. It just really doesn't have a lot of power to do loops. And when you're flying on a windy day like this, always try to remember to turn into the wind. Don't turn downwind if you can avoid it, because the airplane will go pretty far downwind. You can continue flying, just turn into the wind. See, I'm turning into the wind. Let's go up a bit higher. Still flying one-handed. Here, I'm going to turn downwind and I'll show you. Let's see how that thing goes. It goes downwind real fast. See, it went downwind. Don't do that, folks, if you on a windy day. Unless you plan to go downfield the other direction. You turn into the wind, you can crab around like this and keep it close. Left. Pull back, coming down a bit, pushing forward on the stick. Try to bring it down. It's doing its job. But I ain't gonna do no loops. Again, I'll try a loop here. The wind's died down. More throttle. Trying to loop it. No. Coming out of it. Reducing throttle. It just don't have the oomph. The oomph required to loop. Try to give it a full throttle there. Maybe somebody else will have better luck than I do. 2 loops of this thing. It's not really a stunt flyer. Not really. I guess it's not meant to be. It's a beginner's learn to fly airplane. And as you can see, it is kind of easy to fly it. Turn to the left, turn to the right, turn to the left. Breezy day. So, as I mentioned, I flew this the other day. I'm going to try to include both flights, the first flight and this second flight. I was hoping it was no wind today, but I was wrong. There was lots of wind here. Let's go to higher rate. Trying to loop it down and up, and no. It just doesn't do it. It just doesn't have the oomph to loop. I tried. So we're gonna fly it. Fly it in the breeze. not going to fly for the full battery. I'm going to use that first flight to start this video, and this second flight to show this follow-up flight. But more throttle. I just missed myself there. Reducing throttle now. I'm going to need to turn downwind, folks. Bring it back to me. So yeah, I'm not going to fly this full time. We're going to cut it short here. But that was my second attempt, just to see if we can loop it. It ain't going to happen. So let's bring it back, and am I going to land this thing? I want to land it into the wind, so let's go downwind, turn it, bring it back, and reducing throttle. Reducing throttle, reducing throttle, reducing throttle, and there we go. So that's the second flight of the W01. It's starting to grow on me a bit. It's not too bad of a flight. Hey, the wind has finally died down here while I was flying another drone. Let's take advantage of that to get one more flight out of the W01 on a low wind conditions. Let's see how it flies now. Going to high rate. I really want to get a loop in. Oh, it just don't have the oomph, even on low wind. Sorry, folks. I was hoping this would be able to do a loop, but I don't think it can. Full speed. No, I just don't have it. So just let you know, folks, yeah, even in the high rate, this really doesn't have the oomph to do loops. Maybe let's see if I get up higher. I'll give myself a lot of altitude here. Give myself some altitude, and then I'll try a dive, and then try to get as much speed as I can. See if I can do a loop then. Going up higher. Going up higher. We're going to try to get a loop no matter what, folks. Going to high rate. Full speed. Diving. Oh, not even with that. Oh, there. There. Lazy loop. It did it, but dang, it almost hit the ground coming back down. Try it again. No, that's not going to do it. So we're going to call it quits there. Going back to beginner's rate, bringing it back home. By the way, in high rate, it doesn't want to turn right, or in high throttle. When you give it full throttle like that, it really pitches to the left because of the torque on the motor. So just like you know that, I had to really cut back on the throttle to get it to land, or to get it to turn. So we tried it with little wind. I'm sorry, this airplane does not have the oomph to do loops, but it is a good beginner's learn to fly drone or airplane. It is rather stable. So again, we tried. So again, that's the W01. Let's see if I can get a thumbnail this way. Hold on, I want to push this back in. Pop that in that final landing. There we go. The W01. Hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101. Signing out. Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.